Used to be that you would get eve-mailed, like a little email message with the notification about the destruction of the enemy ship. CCP came to realize that that was a very wasteful way to do business. So they created the kill report system. But if you look in corporate chat, you'll be able to see your kill mail of that hostile ship.
Also, I click on it, I can see like his fit he had. Wow, that's really cool.
So you basically destroyed a. How much hit points did you have left after that, by the
way? My hull was like my final thing was like half the way red.
Hey, Senna. So this dude we just recruited into Pioneers, right? He is 2 days old, a 1 day old character. He fitted up an Incursus from the Eve University wiki, and he killed a Conoco Tristan and a Novice Outpost inside of Richard.
Fantastic.
I think he deserves a round of applause for that one. Yeah, a round of applause.
I think so.
Thank you.
Amazing.
So what I'm actually going to do is, can you remotely split stacks and assets yet? Is that a thing yet?
I have no idea.
Let me try it. Because I was going to give him an Atron skin. I can split stacks. Yes! You can split stacks inside the pick items window when you're in the 2 out of 4 pages on the contract creation page.
Right.
There you go. So, hey, John Tivian, when you go and see that little pop-up that you just saw, go and accept that.
Oh, okay. Contract Atron Exoplanet Hunters.
Yep. That'll basically be a free paint job for your Atrons as long as you have an account in EVE Online. It's a permanent paint job you can switch between, basically.
Oh wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, dude. Just as a little bonus for your first kill mail, which is the second kill mail for Pioneers, by the way. So I think that deserves some special recognition.
And it is a good kill mail.
It is.
It's not a bad ship it's flying.
The little it's probably like a single armor repair Incursus, right? But if anybody wants to join the fleet, just come out to Titania. I need to get Ham Schiff into voice comms. We got Jared Sin joining the fleet.
User was moved to your channel.
And it's no big rush. I figured that some guys in the new player corporation will take a few minutes to get set up. But having 3 guys in this class will be really good. Really excited for that. So John, whenever you get a chance, come back to Vleelier, which is the system I linked in Fleet Chat, and we'll group up here, alright?
Okay. So I can right-click that Citadel when I hover. It says show Citadel info. I can right-click that, and it is set destination, and that will...
Man, I wish everybody was as easy as to teach you as you. But yeah, awesome. That's perfectly right. So come on down. And even if you were a spy, you're still killing Conoco, and that's more than worth it in my book, even if you're a spy.
Conoco isn't they're not even Cal milling.
Yeah, exactly.
That's I don't get what they're doing up there. Like, they have their guys running Plexes. Did I tell you about the MOA I tried fighting?
No, but go ahead. Story time. Send it for.
Okay. So I was roaming up the pipe in one of my hook bills, looking for a fight, and I see this MOA and this Venture, I think, on scan. So I figure they'll probably both try warping off as soon as I slide into this Plex, which was a medium Plex. So I slide in, and sure enough, the Venture warps off, which was the war target, but there was a neutral MOA sitting in there with it. And so I burn away from the MOA for a little bit. He burns after me, so we're about 30 kilometers away from the beacon. So then I engage him at that point, and I start, I get in, I orbit close, and his guns can't track me. So I'm slowly chipping away at this MOA's shield, which For those of you that don't know, the MOA is a shield tanked cruiser, so it's a very big ship with a lot of shield HP. So I'm chipping away at this MOA with my rockets, and he's just slowly dying. And then I see a Blackbird and not an Oneros, the T1, Executor, a Vexor, and another MOA on scan. And I have these 4 other cruisers slide into the Plex, all Kanoko, there to rescue the other cruiser, which was also a Kanoko one. So I burn away and I manage to warp off without them all killing me. So then I convo the pilot. I sent him a mail afterwards telling him, like, hey, you know, if you want to fight frigates, you should probably add some extra tackle and stuff. And he responded by telling me that he wasn't there. This is the part that gets me. He responded by telling me that he wasn't there for fights. He was there to help the stabbed Venture kill the Plex Rat.
What?
So this neutral Kanoko pilot was there to help this faction warfare alt kill a Plex Rat.
It was in a Galente system, right?
In a Venture. Yeah.
So he's killing Galente NPC with the MOA to help out the Venture. Why not just put the Venture pilot in the MOA?
Therein lies the question.
I have no.
That's the question we ask ourselves every day.
What do you mean by stabbed Venture?
So there's a module which you should never use, except in important critical situations, called a warp core stabilizer, and essentially allows you to evade a warp disruptor or warp scrambler if used in sufficient quantities. Now this module, it basically incapacitates your vessel to any other combat functionality except very limited targeting. So essentially it's very cowardly and is designed to evade enemy players. So that's what the enemy does sometimes, is that they use warp core stabilizers to keep their ships alive while traveling around in low sec. It makes our job slightly harder to kill them, but we'll still kill them anyway.
So it's like a coward ship module?
Yes, it is. Exactly. There you go. Perfect. Right. It's also known as a dishonorable module in many regards. But it's alright. We teach our players to fly ships that kill other players. That's what we do today. That's what we're doing in this fleet. So hopefully we get everybody on voice comms. I think we're waiting on Ham, but he can just watch the stream if he wants while we're starting up. So once you get to Titania, I'm going to get everybody here at Atron. That's the first ship I'm going to give you guys. And so that'll be for, hopefully, Jared Sin and John. Jared, if you're not joining us today, you can always hop in if you like. I'll invite you right now.
I'm on, and I'm on my way.
Sweet, awesome. So Tech 1 frigates, like we described yesterday. I think I did a fleet yesterday for this, yeah, at 1600 Eve time. Tech 1 frigates are the most basic combat ships you can fly in EVE Online, but they're often undervalued, and they're often the most important ships you can fly in the first few months of PvP career in EVE Online. They provide the fleet very important mobility, speed, and warp scramble capabilities called tackle. So when you're flying in a fleet with friends, which is the main PvP style in EVE Online, there's also solo PvP. Frigates are often used for solo PvP as well, but what I'm talking about today is fleet PvP. You will fly your ship, your Atron, with another group of people, maybe 3 to 4, maybe 5, even higher numbers of people. Your ship will be equipped with something called a warp scrambler. Today we'll talk about the tactics and how to achieve a warp scramble on a target and to apply damage to that target as effectively as possible. John demonstrated his capabilities earlier today by killing his first kill with his character, an enemy Tristan, which is very good. So congratulations to that, John. But we'll still go through the basics just to make sure that everybody has a firm grasp of what to do. Also important to remember is if you're flying inside LowSec, once you dock in the GMVA Citadel named Titania, GMVA is our alliance name, the Valor Accords, you'll be able to set up a medical clone inside that Citadel. This is useful because I'll be able to give you infinite frigates from the Citadel. If you die and get potted, you can always come back, get recloned into Titania, as long as you want. And you can do that using the station services window on the right side of your screen once you are docked inside that station. And for your convenience, I'll link that station again to the chat.
User was
Awesome.
moved to your
Ham
channel.
is here too. Excellent. Hello, Ham.
Hi, how's it
Good,
going?
man. How's it going?
Hi, Ham.
So we have a pretty full roster.
Pretty
We
good.
got 3 new fresh trainees, which is awesome. We'll start everybody out on the same level, and then we'll work our way into more complex discussions. So once everybody gets to Titania, we'll give you your free Atrons, and everybody here today will get an Atron skin. So if you have never flown a frigate before in the game, the Atron's probably the best frigate to start with for the Galente characters here, which I think most of you guys are Galente characters. And it really is one of the best starting frigates. The Galente militia, over the past half-decade, has used the Atron to devastating effect in large sort of swarm tactics. We've taken over entire systems with just Atrons. So never underestimate the rugged little Atron. Hey Jared, do you got a ship or do you need one?
I'm in a
I need-
Kestrel.
Do you only fly Caldari or do you want to fly an Atron? Might be easier if I trained everybody on the same ship. There we go. You should be able to use the Atron. I think you have the character skills for all of the Galente frigate stuff, so.
I can't use the small gremlin compact energy neutralizer.
So you
Is
can
that-
take that off for now. And that's a more advanced module that is useful to train for eventually. So you sort of keep that in mind. You could look at the ship, at the module requirements on the ship. If some of the modules are turned offline, you can remove those modules and replace them with something else. The neutralizer is a very useful module. We'll talk about that later. And Jared, this is a Tech 1 damage control, which will be easier to fit to the low slots if you can't use the Tech 2 damage control. I think you should probably be able to, but just in case.
Yeah, I can't use the Tech 2 damage control. I can only use the Tech
Yep.
1.
Which is the one that I just gave you, so you should be able to swap those out pretty easily.
Yeah, I'm good with the Tech 2
Sweet,
stuff.
Jared. Awesome. That's very good news. And Ham Sniff, if you just get over to Titania, we'll give you a ship and you can catch up with us later, okay?
Sounds good.
No
Thank
problem,
you.
man. So we'll get started now, and I'm also recording this video and streaming it, so if you ever want to watch it again afterwards, along with all my horrible failures and exploding Atrons, you'll be able to do so on the stream, so no big deal. If you miss anything, or have to take a bio break or something, it'll all be recorded there. So everybody here is in the ship, everybody here has their clones set to Titania, and you're all good to go, right? Except for Ham Sniff.
I do not have a clone set to
Yeah, Ham Sniff is still on his way, so no big deal. I'm going to give Mr. John Tivian permissions along with Ham Sniff. So you'll now be able to access the server with no restrictions except for the leadership channels. And I don't even really use the leadership channels, really. All of our fleets are basically right here at the very top of the server. So if you ever are looking for a fleet, this is the TeamSpeak 3 channel to come to. Alright, let's undock John and Jared, and we'll get going. So most of you guys have some experience already, which is really good to hear. There's still a few tricks in LowSec that I'm going to go through and talk about, so we can all follow on the same page, and a lot of the faction warfare stuff is very specific, so that sort of has to be talked about as well. So who here knows what a faction warfare complex is?
Isolated space that you can do faction warfare in, but it's restricted by ship types.
Ham Sniff gets a bonus for that one. Bonus points for Ham Sniff. So exactly right. You warp into a faction warfare complex, which is a specially named system location, often named after the faction that owns it, and then by the size of the complex. You can see on your overview right now, most likely, the Galente Novice, the Galente Small, and the Galente Medium instead of Leolier. For Frigate PvP, the best place to go are the Novices. That's where you can get your Frigate PvP, and I think that's where John got his kill earlier today. So we're going to go to the Novice Outpost inside of Leolir and just see what's going on. Can everybody find that in their overview?
Yeah, I can see it.
Cool. Let's warp to it, and I'll see who catches up with us. Warp to the Galente Novice Outpost at 0 kilometers.
Want to talk about warping at 0 versus warping at 10?
Yes, that's my next key lesson. So,
Oh no, I read ahead.
you read ahead, it's okay. So everybody sees where we are. Do you see the large acceleration gate beneath our ships, or around our ships? This is what you...
Hey, I'm a little confused where we're going.
Okay. Jared, do you see the Galente Novice Outpost on your overview inside of Leolir? It should be on your overview under like a general area.
Yep, I got it.
All right.
I got it.
Go
Thanks.
ahead and warp to that to 0. So I noticed that I think Jared is here. Yeah, he's warping in now. Malmar just warped in early.
Yeah, sorry.
I'll wait for Jared to catch up, then I'll talk about the acceleration gate. The acceleration gate is one of the most dangerous and lethal enemies you will ever face in faction warfare. You'll notice how close your ship is to the physical structure of the gate. You notice how close it is to your ship when you warp into 0 kilometers? That's very bad. If your ship collides with the structure of the Stargate, your ship will be caught on that physical structure and try to move around it very slowly. Essentially, it immobilizes you, and you sort of bounce off of it. So, I want Malmar to move away from the gate slightly to the left. It'll move around it. There you go. See how Malmar is moving away from the acceleration gate? You can either see the little icon of your fleet member moving away, or you can add friendlies to your overview to watch him move away. But he is now getting some distance, so he doesn't bounce off the structure of the acceleration gate. So what the basic rule is, guys, never warp to 0 of an acceleration gate. That was the lesson to be learned here. If you warp to 10 kilometers of the acceleration gate, you won't be too close. You'll be just in the Goldilocks zone of being able to activate the gate and avoid bouncing off the structure. So everybody go ahead and activate the gate now. And this is all very sort of dense information, like you're going to be flooded with information. The key thing is to remember acceleration gates can be bounced into. That's dangerous. So don't warp to 0. So we have entered the Plex. Everybody here sees this NPC. Now, who can tell me if this NPC is friendly or hostile?
It is friendly because it's called Federation.
Yes, bonus points to John. So, would you want to shoot this NPC or not shoot this NPC?
Not shoot because he's our
Exactly. So faction warfare plexes work in a very simple way. If you go into a
User
plex,
joined your channel.
if you go into a plex and the friend is a Federation NPC, and it's usually a Galente
User disconnected
outpost,
from your
will have a
channel.
Federation NPC. You do not need to shoot the NPC. You can simply stay here, and the plex will eventually capture to your faction, and you will get loyalty points and standings over it too, which is very good. Since this system is not heavily contested, which is a thing we can talk about later, we won't get much reward for capturing this site. So what we're going to do is go to a more densely populated enemy territory, and that will give us a chance to actually get fights and actually get real rewards for capturing plexes. So everyone please warp to Oixgate. Once we get to a plex in Oix, I'll talk about faction warfare plexes and how to use your frigates inside of them. Sometimes it's really easy to get very, very distracted by shooting the NPCs inside of an outpost, and that will cause your ship to be easy pickings for a target that enters the site to fight you. So you have to be careful about that. But once you master all these skills, you'll actually become a pretty effective faction warfare pilot.
Where are we warping
To the
to?
OICX gate. And for now, as a sort of gaining experience task, what I'm doing is only using voice communications to communicate what stargates and what plexes to go to. In faction warfare and in fleet combat, the use of voice communications is absolutely paramount. It is the only way to quickly communicate the situation and to correctly identify targets that you need to destroy. So that's what we're doing today. Everyone please activate the Stargate to OICX, which is sort of pronounced Oix. We've been trying to figure out how to pronounce these system names for years. There's no one way to pronounce them. Alright, so we have a small outpost and a small installation. There may be a hostile war target inside the Kaldari small installation. All pilots, please warp to 10 kilometers of Kaldari small installation inside of OICX. And you can set the warp to distance by using the right-click menu on the site name by saying 10 kilometers.
Link location?
We are inside of the OICX system, which is directly next to Flealier.
Got it.
Everyone, please select the acceleration gate and then activate gate as soon as possible. I'll give bonus points to the person that gets in there first in the training crew. Pam is still catching up, so I'm not worried about it.
I liked that caveat there.
Exactly.
Thank you.
There we go. John came in first. Jared is coming in shortly, I believe. Yes, there he is. That's fun. All right. So who can tell me how much time is left to complete on this site? Let's test that bit of knowledge first.
12 minutes, 18 seconds.
There you go. So as you noticed, every site has a specific amount of time that it takes to complete it. The novice outpost takes the least amount of time. The small outpost takes 15 minutes. The medium takes 20. The large, I think, takes 25? I can't remember. The large. I'm not going to lie. But you get the sense of how much time it takes to complete these sites. The larger sites offer more rewards. They provide more loyalty points, which are directly usable to make fancy faction items, ammunition, faction Galente drones, implants, many things that can be sold for significant amounts of money. Ham Sniff is caught up. Well done, sir.
Especially the Vexel Navy issue, which NALSEC would collapse
Yes, the
within
The
days.
Galente militia is the main way that most nullsec alliances make money, because we provide the Vexer Navy issues. So I'm going to award bonus points to Jared and Ham Sniff for moving around the Plex. Basically, the main thing here is, once you enter a faction warfare site, you must stay moving. You never want to stay stationary. The moment that you are stationary, you will be easy pickings for a target that enters the site to engage us. They'll be able to see that you're not moving, they will approach your ship quickly, and they will establish a warp scrambler and stasis webifier lock. Those two modules will turn off the propulsion module, the mech warp drive, and reduce your top velocity drastically. A frigate that is very slow is a frigate that's about to be very dead. So remember that key term, always stay moving around the site. You can show info on the site that you're currently capturing by hovering over your mouse on the sort of circular icon for it, and then clicking Show Info on the selected item window. It will say that it registers the presence of ships within 30 kilometers. You want to be within 30 kilometers of that structure so that you can actually stay within range of it and continue capturing the site. You can add that to your overview actually, just by hovering over the circular structure, right-clicking, and add Kaldari Outpost to Overview, Capture Point to Overview. That will help you keep your track of that distance. It's sometimes a bit confusing because the beacon itself always says 0 kilometers if you're within that 30 kilometer radius. So that's sort of a confusing thing sometimes. That beacon is the triangular symbol on your overview. Don't ask me why CCP did it that way. There's many historical reasons why this has happened this way. Too much to get into right now.
But it's it is easy to deactivate the cloak.
Exactly. There's a way to keep people from clicking inside of these sites, which was a very popular metagame at one point. So what I'm going to do right now is some basic combat trials between our pilots. We're going to put our people through our paces. I don't want to have any ships being destroyed in these test drills. So please watch the enemy hit points. I'm going to call the match if the hit points go too low. And at that point, please deactivate the weapons. Okay?
Should I get the logistic frigate for that?
No, we'll just have them dock in the station, dock in the Citadel. Ion pods right there, they can get repaired. Our Earthbender also. No big deal. So what I'm going to do is add everybody to watch list. I'm going to pick 2 players to play against each other. Right now we're fairly safe, and this is a good use of our time to test people's reaction times, their ability to target other ships, and their ability to do damage with their blasters. And since we're all flying the same ships, you're going to be relatively on the same level. Some people will have a few more skill points. They'll basically change the damage output from the Atron by a few percentage points. So, what I'm going to do is nominate Jared Sin and Ham Sniff, and wait for the countdown that I will provide, and then go at it and see who wins. Alright? So you guys can target each other if you want to get started, but I will count down right now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go for it, boys. So they're starting to approach each other. There we go. Let's see what happens. Starting to do damage. You both got your micro warp drive still on, so you're sort of flying around. Let's see who gets into a good orbit. Ham Sniff is taking some heavy damage. Now Jared Sin's taking some damage. There's a warp scrambler. That's what I'd like to see. And Ham Sniff realizes he has a warp scrambler too. There we go. Good job. It's actually one of the most hard things to remember, is to activate all the modules you have. Ham Sniff is about half shields. Jared is about 2/3 shields. So I think we might call it up. Jared is dipping down a little bit lower. Yeah. I'll wait for Ham Sniff to go into armor, and we will call it there. Alright, ceasefire, boys. Good job. So, both the targets did very well. They activated the micro warp drives to approach each other as fast as possible, which is an incredibly important thing to do in a frigate. Hey, Ham Sniff.
I'm running with one less gun.
Oh, no, you had to turn it off?
I didn't have the capacitor power for it. Tried to look for an alternate, but didn't have one.
Okey-dokey. Link me your fit real quick in Fleet Chat, and then you can run over to the Gar Earthbender Citadel for quick repairs, alright? So,
Got
the
it.
way to link your ship is to open up the fitting window. You can do that with the Alt-F hotkey. There you go. The neutron blasters. I wonder if that was because... Yeah, sometimes there is just a little bit of a power grid shortage very early on in the training of your characters with the Atron, and that will be fixed with time.
This is actually an alt character.
Yeah.
An alpha clone.
No problem. That's totally cool. So that's one of the things you'll learn, is that there is a couple alpha clone skills like the power grid management, which will get you enough power grid to turn on that third gun. Alright, Ham Sniff, go and warp out and get some repairs, and we'll do the second match. Let's do John Tivian and Jared Sid next. Jared will have taken a little bit of damage. That's fine. That sort of simulates having a fight in a faction warfare plex, so you don't always have all of your hit points at the start. So you two guys ready?
Yeah, I'm
Alright.
I'm ready.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go for it. Yeah, warp scramble right away on Jaredson. Sean was ready for that one. And warp scramble has been returned. Now let's see if the damage starts to apply. Alright, the damage is coming out. John Tivian's taking some damage. I think Jared is... Oh, there's the damage from Jared. Onto Jared. Looks pretty even. Looks pretty even right now.
Oh, that was a huge...
John's taking a big chunk. Sometimes with the blasters, you get really lucky with the damage output, and you get a huge hit on the target. So that does happen occasionally. Looks like Jared has a little bit more skill points, and he's pulling through with a little bit more damage per second against John. That's perfectly fine. And let's call it... There, ceasefire, ceasefire. Cool, good job, guys. Jared definitely has the skill points. I think you've been around for 6 months, right? You just haven't actually PvP'd much before?
Yeah. Yeah, I built this guy for PvP, so I haven't really done anything with it.
Well, now we're making that happen. So that's very good.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, so that's a great job, guys. Like I said, using the Warp Scrambler helps turn off the enemy micro-warp drive, which is very important to maintaining a close distance to the target to actually hurt him. When you're fighting a ship that's very similar to yours, it is going to come down a little bit more to the skill points that the players have, a little bit more to the modules they have equipped. But in a fleet situation, applying that Warp Scrambler is sometimes the most important thing that you can do as a player. The next thing that we need to make sure that everybody has done, which I've figured out yesterday in a really silly situation, is to make sure that the safety on your ship is disabled. Does anybody know how to disable the safety?
You click the button, don't you? And then you set it to the right.
Yes. And where is that button? It's sort of hard to see sometimes.
It's like on the thing, the bars with the shield, it's kind of like towards the left and the top.
There you go. So sort of the top left of the ship's sort of compass, or the capacitor with all the hit points and speed indication on it. So you want to click that. You want to go from the green setting to the red setting to disable safety, then confirm. That will allow you to fire on any targets at any time. Now what this means, of course, is that you should not go to HiSec and shoot a positive security status, happy, non-war target player. You'll be shot by the police and will die. But if you remember that, there's no way for this to really hurt you too much. There are sentry guns on the Stargates inside of the system. That's a problem. You don't want to shoot a target on the Stargate if he's not at war with you. And the easy way to tell if somebody is at war with you is if they are orange. If there's an orange star next to their ship, they're obviously a war target. That's what the icon means. So only shoot those people on Stargates. If they're a negative security status pilot, shoot them on Stargates. But you just have to be careful. And that's something you'll learn with time. And we have infinite Atrons, so don't worry about losing your ship.
You have your overview set up correctly, then you can safely shoot anything that blinks.
There you go. And the Alliance MOTD does have a set up your overview militia style, which is a bit old, but still actually fairly applicable to almost every situation. So that's on the Alliance channel on MOTD. Message of the day. So look at that, we burned through a full 9 minutes of time, and we are about finished. So we'll capture this site, and for some of you this will be your first Faction Warfare Plex successfully captured, and then we'll move on to actually do some PvP. Any questions so far? I've talked a lot, so I'm sure you got lots of questions.
Can you explain overheating?
Yes. Now, I think thermodynamics can be trained on alpha clones, right?
I believe so.
Let me quickly look at that. We'll just hang out here for a few seconds while we answer the questions. So thermodynamics is a very useful skill, and I linked it into Fleet Chat. Essentially what overheating allows you to do is it allows you to gain additional performance out of each of the modules that you can overheat for a short duration of time. And as you might imagine, that is very important to PvP, because PvP is usually in a matter of 30 seconds to 60 seconds. That's where the fight is truly decided. Inside of PvE, player versus environment content, you don't actually gain any real advantage from overheating. But in PvP, where every moment counts, where you must destroy the enemy at all costs, or you will be destroyed in turn, thermodynamics is a very good skill to get. Once you gain that skill, which does require some significant skill training, my character shows 1 day, 5 hours to train this thing on my alt character, you'll be able to turn on the overheat of the modules, either your guns, your micro warp drive, or your warp scrambler on this Atron. You can do that easily by holding down the left shift key and then left clicking the icon to overheat it. You can do this while the module is currently activated, or before the module is activated, just to prepare it for the overheat cycle. Once it's activated on a blaster, you'll be able to get more damage. On a warp scrambler, you'll be able to activate the warp scrambler from farther away, which, as you might imagine, is very useful. On the micro warp drive, it allows you to increase the micro warp drive velocity bonus substantially, so your Atron will fly much faster for a short duration of time. As the module activates with each cycle of that overheat status being active, the module will take damage, and you'll see a red damage circle eclipse the module. When the module becomes fully damaged, the module will go offline and will not be able to use it until you dock in a station to get it fully repaired. Or partially repaired, but I don't think you can partially repair the module, else honestly. So you dock in a station, get it repaired, then you have to turn the module back on your fitting window. It's quite crippling. So you have to be careful with the overheat, but like I said, extremely useful. We don't really require people to get that right away. We honestly just want to get them to Atrons before we... Alright, any other questions before we move on? Was that an adequate answer, hopefully?
Yeah, just one more on that is, with the overheat, they talk about, I watched some videos where they talk about preheating their guns. What exactly is preheating and how long does that last?
So preheating is simply a status where the module is overheated without it being activated. So like I said, you can either hold down the left shift key and left click the module, or you click the small green sliver at the top of the module's round button to activate it. And then you do that before you actually begin using the module. So that's often a preparatory act. You understand how PvP often gets intense and very short durations of time are very hard to sort of coordinate your button clicks. So they do that in advance to avoid missing the opportunity of using the overheated module. So that's what that's talking about.
Okay, so that makes sense. So it's in green status, but it doesn't actually start taking damage until you activate the module.
Until you start using it, exactly. Just like you would think of anything else in real life, really. A bad metaphor would be like overheating a printer, I guess, or something. You just print out paper faster. Anyways, everybody go ahead and warp to the EHA gate, the EHA gate, and we will move on to the next system. May actually get some PvP in the next one, we shall see. And John Tivian mentioned his experience with the fighting that Tristan. There is a lot of adrenaline and sort of human, like, physiological responses to actual PvP, like real PvP, where you may have a chance of dying. Even in a friendly sparring match, there's a little bit of adrenaline in it. And you have to overcome some of that in your PvP training. You have to be able to control the shakes, is what they're called, to activate the modules and to activate the blasters that you have at your disposal to kill the target as efficiently as possible, while making sure you control the enemy's distance and range from your ship and movement around your ship. So your shots actually have to land, you know. And we could talk about that more as we move on. Everyone, please activate the Stargate to EHA.
I'm gonna pick up this.
Close.
Attack 2 ogres and acolytes and stuff.
Alright, guys. There's a few more targets in local. We're gonna do something very bold. Does everybody here see the Caldari Large Stronghold in local chat?
I see it.
Alright.
Got it.
Everyone please warp to that location at 10 kilometers now. So a Caldari Large Stronghold is a outpost or complex that does not have an acceleration gate. When we land at this location, we will be inside the site next to the structure with an NPC. There may be an enemy there. At the moment, there is not, unfortunately. But we'll take this opportunity to practice some basic PvP tackling skills. So everybody sees the state battlecruiser on their overview?
Battlecruiser, got it.
I see it.
Move towards that target and engage as fast as possible, please. Move towards the state battlecruiser and engage with warp scramblers and weapons. Oh, we have a friendly. It's a 25-day-old FDU character. If he opens fire, we may have to kill him. Continue killing the state battlecruiser. I'll keep track of the damage and see how you guys are doing. So you're noticing that the tank on the battlecruiser is actually regenerating slightly, right? You may wish to turn off your micro-warp drives on your ships to be able to line up the shots on the battlecruiser more quickly. When you're moving around in an Atron, one of the downsides is how fast it is. When you're attempting to apply damage to the target, your blasters may miss, simply because you are flying around too quickly for the guns to aim. When you're engaging a large target, it's actually preferable to turn off the micro-warp drive and hold position and orbit it around at 1,000 meters or so. Now you're noticing how your damage is increasing, probably, right? There we go. So our fleet of ships can destroy this battlecruiser, then start capturing the site. A large outpost is worth much more in terms of loyalty points than a novice, or a medium. However, the penalty is, there is no acceleration gate, so an enemy can warp in directly to the site and begin firing upon you with no warning. There we go. Now you notice that the timer on the site has not yet begun. We must move within range of the timer, so it actually starts ticking up. We're not going to stay here the entire time for this site. This is mostly just a demonstration of how large outposts work. And it actually provides good PvP opportunities. Many times, war targets will simply warp in to try to kill us, particularly if they see that we're just in Atrons. So if we get lucky...
Yes, but in general, don't bet in EHA because they tend to come with too many people to...
Yes, true. Most of the time. So we'll move on shortly. Does anybody have any questions about large outposts? There's other details about faction warfare plexes which are a little bit more advanced. And we could talk about scanning to protect yourself inside a system also at a later date. Right now what I'm focusing on is making sure that you can activate the modules on your ship correctly at the right times and to kill a target as efficiently as possible with your guns. Alright, everyone please warp to the Marto Stargate inside of EHA.
Warp drive active.
And we will move on to the next system. So what I was saying about before, with the guns missing the target because you were moving too quickly, that happens in frigate combat as well. So it can either work to your advantage because the enemy will not hurt you as badly, or it will work to your disadvantage because you will not be able to hurt the enemy effectively. You have to sort of watch how many times your guns are missing. If your guns are missing a great deal, you might need to slow down a little bit for the guns to hit. And you can manually set that using the speed bar underneath of your ship's capacitor. It's a little bit dangerous sometimes to do that, just be careful. Watch your speed, I guess. That's the best thing I can say. And that comes with experience, and like I said, infinite Atrons. Don't worry about losing Atrons. Everybody jump to Marto. We have several war targets here. System is partially contested. There's a Vector Navy issue on scan. See where we can find that target. It's on the Kanaka Stargate. I'm warping to the Kanaka Stargate right now with our fleet. Ah, he just left. Damn. Where did he go, do you think, Sonny?
We want to chase?
Yeah.
I mean, if he's off scan already, he must have jumped.
Yeah, let's try that. All pilots activate Stargate to Kanaka. He might be friendly, he might be hostile. We do not know. We shall see.
Not on scan.
Yeah.
Might have gone to Inia.
There are other targets on scan.
Possibility is he might also be holding cloak right now, but
Also true.
not sure.
Alright. There is a Kadai Navy hookbill inside of the Kanaka Novice Outpost, inside the Galente Novice Outpost. I've had it on directional scan. Let's have Jared, Sin, Ham, Sniff, and Johnny warp to the Galente Novice Outpost and activate the acceleration gate. This will be your trial by fire, boys. And Ham Sniff can go too if he likes. There's an enemy fleet approaching, but they're not directly attacking us. I'm just going to warp the rest of us there.
We might want to align.
Yeah, I just warped us all there. So Atron pilots, enter the Plex. If the target is a friendly Galente militia pilot, he'll be shown with a blue star or purple star, which means that he is friendly.
He's blinky red.
Target on.
Engage.
He just warped.
Oh. There's a Kestrel right behind him. We might be able to get him. Malmar and I will get him. The enemy fleet's on its way. We'll try to kill this Kestrel real quick, and then we'll move on.
Find.
Kill Alduin Dragonborn on the outside. If you're inside the Novice Outpost, just stay there for the moment. You can hang out. It's a friendly NPC, so there's no danger to you. Sen and Melmar and I will get a kill on the outside. Sorry, guys. So if nothing else, that was profitable. Capsule's targetable. Tormentor is landing. He might chase. Sen and Melmar, stay here, fight him. Might be able to push him in to our friends on the inside. I got a target on him.
He's locking. Point.
So, new recruits, I apologize for stealing all the kill meals. We're currently fighting a Tech 1.
He's not going to shoot long.
Yeah. He's currently on the Kanaka Outpost, Novice Outpost acceleration gate on the outside of it. So, if anybody wants to come back. Oh, there's a Loki. That's not good. That's not a good situation.
Potato.
We'll try to kill this Tormentor quickly, then we'll move on. If the Loki engages, let me know.
Locking.
Yeah, stay away from that Loki if you can. You can micro drive away, possibly. Yeah, let's...
Oh, that's spam on me. I'm down.
Okay, let's warp out of this Semaphore.
My drones!
Not the drones.
The 10 million of drones.
10 million Escom drones. Well, this situation is very chaotic.
That's not me.
Oh, you're almost gonna get him, son. Get him! Yes! Well done. Beautiful. Post that kill mail. Alright, boys. If you're inside the Novice Outpost, please stay there. We'll be joining you shortly, alright? That was comical, guys. That was really funny. Where's the Tormentor kill? Did we get it, or was the other ship firing on it?
Oh, I was muted, sorry. The Loki got it.
Oh.
Managed to slip away.
Nice, nice, nice. Alright, Melmar, if you can get on the ship, that'd be great. I'll join the guys inside the Novice Outpost. There's a high likelihood of us getting an engagement inside the Novice Outpost in Kanaka, by the way. So like I said earlier, keep moving. Don't stay stationary on the inside. You don't have to shoot the NPC because the NPC is friendly. What is
Yeah, that fight was basically the same as the one from last night.
Oh, there's a Brutix landing. Look at all this random PvP content on our doorstep.
Those two might actually duke it out, just so you know.
Cool. We have our...
The Loki... The Brutix is affiliated with the frigates we just killed, and the Loki killed one of the frigates, so...
Oh, very good.
Might be able to third party that fight.
Yeah. So I've initiated a fleet warp to the Kanaka Planet 3 Lidai Corporation Factory Station. We will warp to that location, and then we will return to participate in the engagement between the Loki and the enemy Brutix-class battlecruiser. The Loki is a Tech 3
There's
cruiser.
a Garmer and a Mollis affiliated with the Brutix that have undocked from the Keepstar.
Ooh. Let's see what happens, guys. I'm going to warp us back at 50 kilometers. We'll be able to observe what is going on at the acceleration gate to the Galente Novice Outpost, and then determine who we want to fight. Since both enemy targets are hostile to each other, we might be able to third party. It's just the Brutix? It's just the Brutix? Man, that would be funny if we can kill that. Probably not, though. Just gonna...
Brutix is AAR, correct?
Yes.
There's a Caracal that undocked as well.
Okay.
So we probably don't want that
Probably not, sadly. That Brutix is rather dangerous. All pilots warp away. Warp away to the Inia gate if you can, please. Warp away to the Inia gate if you can, please. Just go ahead and warp out if you can. If you get warp disrupted, that's fine. Get you another ship. We'll see who survives. Jared sends out. Looks like we might have lost 2 of our guys. You guys get caught by that fleet? Oh, Pam's here. Yes, there you go. And John Tivian! All of them survived! Miraculous. Well done.
They started shooting me, but I read up on the Reddit, the REVE thing, that you want to warp to the sun when someone's shooting you. So I kind of warped to the sun, and I was able to get out.
The sun is sometimes a good idea, however, there are dangers with that tactic. Because everybody does it, many people actually predict that tactic, and they think ahead, like 2 chess moves ahead. They may actually position an enemy ship at the sun, so the moment you warp to the sun to escape, you fall directly into the clutches of another ship. Or they may be flying a ship with an area of effect weapon known as a smart bomb. The moment that you exit the warp at the sun, you will take so much damage, your ship will be instantaneously destroyed. That's not fun either. So
the sun is not a safe spot?
Not very safe, no. There are other options.
It's all circumstantial.
It's all circumstantial, right? You can use asteroid belts, which are available in the right-click menu on the system screen, planets, other stargates, stations, or other citadels you have docking access with in the structures menu. All those things are good options. But very good job on evading the enemy targets and escaping with your ships intact. We're going to move on to the Akadagi system. So please look for Fleet Chat. I oftentimes post the system name to Fleet Chat, and you can right-click that and set destination. All pilots, please jump to Inia. So what we'll do is we will fly directly to Akadagi as fast as we can. I will not issue any navigation commands. You will warp to the next system, activate the Stargate to that system, and then move on to the next until you get to Akadagi. This is oftentimes a time-saving maneuver. It allows our ships to move as quickly as we can between 2 locations and get us to a fight or other PvP opportunity quickly. You don't want to waste time by giving laborious orders in very boring sequences.
Warp drive active.
But it does rely upon the attention and participation of the individual fleet pilots to listen to that command and to follow that route as fast as possible. It's also important to make sure that your autopilot is set to the shortest possible route, which ignores security status. What you can do is look at the upper left corner of your screen, click the A next to route, and click the radio button for preferred shorter. That will make sure that your ship does not fly through enemy high security space, which is good for your life expectancy. If you're flying through enemy high sec in a ship that is too slow or too fat, the enemy faction navy will kill you. That's not fun for anybody.
Warp drive active.
Because dying to an NPC is slightly embarrassing in EVE Online. When you're trained to be a badass PvP pilot and you die to an NPC, it's not the greatest situation in the world. It feels depressing. I've done it before, so don't feel too bad about it if it happens. I think Senna's been around when I've died to NPCs before, so he can testify to that.
I died to NPCs last week.
Oh, we got some targets inside of Akadagi's system. So the best way to make sure that you know what's going on in the system that you're entering is by looking at the local chat window. The pilots that are in the enemy faction will be shown as orange stars. Pilots with no specific affiliation will be shown as just a normal name with no icon next to them. It's important to note that everybody in LowSec that is not a friend is an enemy. So if they don't have any official affiliation or status, you must still assume that they are trying to kill you. And you are more than free to shoot them in advance. There is an enemy MOA on directional scan, MOA class cruiser. It seems to be at the citadels though. Everyone please warp yourselves to the Caldari large outpost at 10 kilometers.
Warp drive active.
And let me know if you have questions. I know I talk too much. You guys have been doing a great job, by the way. I don't think you guys have any worries to have about frying Atrons or any frigates. There's nobody here. Lame. Compound is also clear. So type X if you know what the directional scanner is and how to use it. And go ahead and start shooting this state battlecruiser in time. Type X in the fleet chat window. You know how to use a directional scanner. And it's not a shameful thing to admit that you don't. Up, Brutix landing. It's retain. Move towards retain and prepare to fire. So you see him landing out of warp. You will not be able to target him for several seconds. He is now targetable. Engage retain. Engage retain. Call scram on him, please.
Cram.
We made it to kill his drones first if he deploys combat drones. Alright, let's try to kill those Hammerhead 2s. Do you see the small X's circling his ship? You can shoot those X's first. And that will allow us to buy time for our fleet. So shoot those little Hammerhead 2s and see what we can do. And that's fine. If you die, that's perfectly fine. It is one of those learning experience things, of course. He has recalled his drones, which is good. Continue firing on the battlecruiser. Remember to orbit at about 1 kilometer. That'll make his guns miss most of the time, which is a very important factor. If his guns do not hit your ship, he cannot kill you. His drones are back out. Switch fire to the drones. We lost another ship, that's fine. Let's recall his drones. We're now down to 4 vessels. If we kill his Hammerhead 2s, we should be able to protect ourselves in time. but it is a matter of practice of killing drones, so it's not easy. A battlecruiser is a very dangerous ship. It's a very powerful ship. It's about 10 times the cost of an Atron, maybe even more than that actually. It's like 30 times the cost of an Atron. So killing it with a group of Atrons like this is an enormous victory, if it is possible.
User joined your channel.
Hey guys.
Hello, welcome to the fleet. We're currently fighting Retain and the large outpost inside of Akadaki. There's an Orthrus and a Tengu landing. We may be able to allow these other pilots to kill Retain for us, so us acting as sacrificial tackle is actually the best way for Retain to die right now.
The neutral is affiliated with
Oh,
him.
they're working together. That's disappointing. Okay. We may lose this fight, but that's nothing to be worried about. I honestly want us all to die, so we can all sort of understand it's not a big deal to die in Atrons. If you want to get out now, that's fine. Feel free to escape. But the first thing to overcome in PvP is the fear of losing your ship. It does not matter if you lose your ship, it does not matter if you lose your clone. So long as you don't stuff your cargo hold filled with enormously expensive treasures, and so long as you don't make your clone incredibly expensive with thousands of millions of ISK of implants, none of that actually matters. The experience of the combat and overcoming your basic fears about PvP are vastly more important. So us fighting Retain here, while it was not the most wise strategic decision, it was still good for us to learn basic combat tactics. So let's set destination back to Vleelir. And if you die to your capsule, that's fine. And you'll actually get your medical clone set up. We'll get you back to Titania. So we'll get you more Atrons, and we'll go back out again. And that's the next part of the lesson here, is that if you die and get recloned, it's always good to get into another ship and go back out. The key thing is not to get too upset or angry about losing the ship. Because first of all, the ship isn't actually worth anything real. It's just pixels. It's literally just video game graphics. Second of all, the experience in participating with fellow fleetmates is far more valuable than anything else in the game. So, coming back to Vleelir, dock up inside Titania, and we'll go back out again.
I'd like to say thank you for the fleet, but I have to go,
Sure.
unfortunately. My girlfriend's kind of giving me aggro, and I promised we'd go out.
No problem, dude. We'll do one more round after you leave, and it'll still be on the Twitch stream, so you can catch it up later, okay?
Oh, wow,
No
thank
problem,
you.
dude.
Okay.
Take care.
It was really fun.
Appreciate it.
See you guys.
User disconnected from your
So
channel.
Heisenberg, we're just doing some basic Frigate PvP training. We have a couple of new recruits to the Corp, and we're trying to bring them up to speed on that, so...
I'm quite experienced pilot. I was hoping for some action, you know. PvP.
Yeah, so this really was just for the new recruits we had, but you're more than welcome to listen and participate if you like. There's other fleets going out downstairs. Dracaris actually was asking a question on Twitch stream. Let me respond to him real quick. By the way, before anybody else has to hop offline, you've done a really good job so far at the training. So I'm going to give every one of you a Atron skin just as a little bonus to celebrate the fact you're actually learning how to PvP for the first time for most of you guys. I think I gave one... Who did I give it to? It was... Johnny. Yeah, it was Johnny. Because he actually killed his first Tristan like before the fleet actually began, which was pretty hilarious. So I'm going to give one to Jared. And if you get a skin, you can actually just remotely activate it. You can search for it in the asset window and activate it from another star system. So you can actually just plug that in as soon as you get the contract. And Ham Sniff, you there? Oh, you went AFK too. We may have to stand down actually if all our guys are AFK. But
Looks like he's back, maybe.
Ham, how's it going?
Your mic's not picking anything up. Like, we see it activating, but we're not hearing your voice.
Yeah, that happens with sound settings sometimes. Ham, just as an FYI, you're going to get a contract for an Atron skin, just sort of like a free little fun bonus to celebrate the fact I actually used an Atron in PvP first time. So feel free to take that, and you can activate it as soon as you get it. All right. Everybody else, we're going to stand down for the fleet. Thank you very much for joining and watching on the stream. Appreciate it. If you have any questions, just let me know. Just email me or catch me in chat, and I'll try to help you out. All right.
User disconnected from your channel.
Take care, guys.